All right, this video is going to be interesting. As you can see, I've got quite a selection of palettes here. On the counter, I'm going to be doing a swatch video for every and all black eyeshadow shade I own. So I will be swatching them all. I will be doing double swatches for every shade, as well as inside and outside video for this. So hopefully this is helpful to somebody. I'm going to be starting with the Milani Bold Obsessions palette. This does have a black shade in it, and it's called Little Black Dress. And then there's a grayish black above it. I will probably also swatch, which is called Smoke Signals. So I will do double swatches for each of these. So here we have Little Black Dress and Smoke Signals. I got this idea after watching Lauren May Beauty do this a while ago about how her shadows, like some of them were more opaque than other black shadows. She also talked about like her top 10, I guess, best black eyeshadows. And I was like, wait a minute, well, not every black shadow is the same. Some of them look black, some of them look purple, some of them look brown. So yeah, so I figured I would do this and figure out what palettes I own that have black in them and go from there. Next we have the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette in Cancer. This is one of their mini Zodiacs. I'm grabbing this shade here, which I call shade number 7. This is a black with silver glitter, and there's Fallout on the counter. It looks very similar to Smoke Signals. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that since half of it is like, it's like falling off on the counter, off my finger. Thank goodness there's not 2 or 3 black shades in every palette, because I might need to do swatches a little bit thinner. So there's 3 so far. And the one from the Cancer palette, like I said, it is a black with silver glitter. And the Smoke Signals one from the Milani palette is also, it's like a gray with shimmer in it. Now we have the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. This is the shade called Abyss. So I'm gonna grab that. It's actually a pretty decent black shade. I hate how dirty this palette gets. And since I use that palette wet and dry, it looks kind of like a disaster. Next we have a single shadow in here. This is from my line. This is Black Ops. This is a Bold Effects eyeshadow. It is a pressed pigment. And I think I might have one of these in a single pan form. I'm gonna do that one more because my finger was kind of damp when I first picked it up. So this is a raw pigment shadow. It's a loose powder that it has been pressed into a pan so that it, stays a little bit better. I also have the high definition loose shadows, I also have those. I have eye paints and some raw pigments that are in like powder form, loose powder form, that are also very similar to this. That was Black Ops. And then we have this one here. This is called Space. This is a mid-size eyeshadow pan, and it does have silver glitter in it. And this shadow is probably 8 or 10 years old. And it looks kind of like those two. I'm just trying to actually pick some up on my finger. It's a very, very hard, dry formula. Like I said, I've had it for at least 8 years, if not longer. Then we have the Zodiac palette from BH Cosmetics. We have the Aries Matte. This one is a kind of like an interesting black shade. It's got like this brownish red hue to it. I don't know if you can see like where it swatches out, that it doesn't look like a true black. Then we have the Morphe 39S Such a Gem palette in the shade Rocks On, which also is a black with silver glitter. And a lot of these, the glitter will blow away. Then we have the lovely hated James Charles Morphe palette and the shade Spooky, which looks nice in black. I have only been able to get it to look like this in finger swatches or wet. This is what I use to get my butterfly look done on my face. And it's actually swatching out a lot better than it does with a brush. I had a heck of a time getting it to look opaque with a brush. I've always had difficulties with this palette. And the majority of this palette, even the shimmers, I have to use wet because they don't show up on my skin. And I'm like paper. So if you have a darker complexion than me and you get this palette to work, then kudos, because I do nothing but cuss at this palette because it frustrates me so much. This is my most hated palette. And then the Cancer one is next. That's my next most hated. Then we have the Shane Dawson collab with Jeffree Star Cosmetics. This is a Conspiracy palette, and we have my rides here. I have used this as a liner. I've used this to deepen up shadow looks, and this is actually a really nice, this is actually a cool toned black shade. It pulls a little bit gray on the skin. I mean, like, you know, your eye, not, you know, my arm. Sometimes you have to specify things. Then we have the Makeup Revolution Ultra eyeshadows. This is one of their matte ones. We have, let's see, Carbon and Charcoal were the two I was thinking in here. Charcoal's more like a gray black. And I don't think I picked up enough with that one. And it just fell off my finger. So I'm gonna do Carbon up here and Charcoal down here, because I'm running out of room and I still have 4 more palettes left. So we have Carbon and Charcoal. And they're both kind of like grayish black shades. So far, unfortunately, the James Charles palette and the Milani palette are like the best, like all 100% black shades that I have, looking at them in swatch. Then we have the Coastal Scents Revealed 2 palette. We have this shade right here, which is a black that also has glitter in it. So I'm going to do a half swatch up here for that. And my finger's still kind of wet. Crap. Well, I just turned this into a different shadow. Let me try a different finger. It kind of went on more like a satin shade because when I first put it down, my finger was a bit damp. So there's my Coastal Scents Revealed 2. It's also like a brown shaded black. It doesn't look like a standard black shade. It does pull a little bit brown. And I found that there are some black shades that do that. They look more brown or they look more purple. And then we have the newest one I've gotten from BH. This is the Fairy Lights palette. We have Marvelous here. It's like an ebony brown black shade. I'm gonna put it down here. It really is like a dark, 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 dark brown that looks almost black. And it's kind of like a satiny matte shade. And a lot of these shadows, they work amazingly when they're wet as well. I have found that with a lot of these black shades, you can get them more opaque by getting them wet. Then we have the BH Cosmetics Morbicorn palette in the shade Breakdown. This was actually, when I worked with this palette to do a bunch of looks at one time, this was actually a very, very nice black. I was very surprised at how pigmented it was. This was actually, and it's a brown base black, but I found that it was more, it was better than the black that I have in the Zodiac palette. That was, you know, that was kind of shocking to me. And then lastly, we have the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. We have a big old pan in black in here. And I have used this quite a bit, and it's been used wet. So the center of it is kind of like messed up for me using it wet. I still want the Rio edition of this and the Ibiza version of this palette. Those are still on my wish list. This is like a gray based black. It's not a true black. It is more like a gray black. And I know when Lauren was doing her swatches, she has like Kat Von D products, and like her, I will not support Kat Von D. I've only literally bought one item specifically from that brand. I've never like gone out of my way to buy any of her products. I bought an under eye setting powder that somebody said was amazing, and it's okay. It's the only product I've ever physically bought. But here are all of the black shadows that I have. And like I said, you can see like some of these look more, like this one looks more purple. These look more gray. These, like, some of these look more brown. And I mean, it really depends on what kind of look you're doing. If you're doing a look that's more like purple, then I would go with a black like this that pulls more reddish purple. Or if you're doing a look that's more neutral and you just want to deepen up an outer corner, go with one of the ones, like, depending on what palette you own, that pulls a little bit kind of brown. That way your black is going to kind of fit your look a little bit better. And some of these blacks are warm toned and some of these blacks are cool toned. And it really is personal preference on what you like and what you don't like. All right, so here we are outside under the tree cover. It almost looks like it's going to rain because of how cloudy it is right now. But here are all of the black swatches, starting with the Milani palettes and then ending off with the BH palettes. So here are all the various, you know, black shades that I have, whether they're black or gray black. And then I'm gonna walk to the end of the driveway where there's a little bit of sun peeking through. The sun hasn't set yet, but it's like super cloudy and overcast right now. So we'll see if I can get some good shots. I mean, it's like 78 degrees out here right now. I'm filming this on December 20th. All right, it looks like there is enough sun peeking through so I can show you this. I am surprised that there's this much light coming through the clouds right now. It's super overcast. I will be doing video of these outside here in just a minute so you can see them in indirect sunlight and direct sunlight. Hopefully you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Please let me know if you own any of these palettes, and if you have any like standout black eyeshadows, leave those in the comment section down below. My name is Rebecca Oversat, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Have a fantastic day or night wherever you are. Bye.